Rachel, I'm going to call on you because I think you're doing something really exciting in Detroit, and there are similar programs like it across the state, but it's one of the things that was mentioned here, a workforce crisis. And I think your program is doing something to address that. Could you talk about it just for a minute?
Hi, I'm Rachel Downs, and I'm the Program Manager for the Detroit Revitalization Fellows Program at Wayne State University. This is really one of the most exciting economic development initiatives, I think, to come to Michigan. We've recruited 29 economic development professionals in various disciplines to come to Detroit. They've been placed in community and economic development stakeholder organizations throughout the city. And over the course of the next 2 years, we will provide additional technical training, leadership development, mentoring, and coaching. So not only are we increasing the economic development capacity, the talent pool that we have in the region, but we are also increasing the collaboration, the cooperation that is occurring in the participating stakeholders. So it's a very exciting program. I think the fact that we had 625 people apply from around the world to come to Detroit to revitalize the area is a story in and of itself. These individuals were literally from the best schools across the country. So right now, Detroit is one of the most exciting places to be if you want to take part in the revitalization of the region.
And I think wealth creation is a good measure of economic development. I'd like to address the supply of capital for investment in the Grand Rapids area and the impact of tax policy on capital formation, capital attraction. Business earnings are taxed at, I think, 35% at the federal level, and they're taxed again at the state level. That reduces reinvestment of funds, the amount of retained earnings in the firms. Dividends are taxed twice, both at the corporate level and then when the individual gets taxed again on dividends. Capital gains are taxed. I'm just curious, and more tax changes are planned for next year. There's a Medicare, Obamacare tax on dividends, investment earnings. I'm just curious what you think the impact of changes in tax policy in general is on capital, attracting capital for investment in the Grand Rapids area.
Tax policy certainly impacts investment decisions. I think Michigan in the last couple of years has improved its tax climate, if only because it's increased fairness associated with the system and simplified it, which is, again, many of us around here were advocating for that, especially the treatment and taxation of business. But, you know, honestly, in the work most of the work that we do, tax treatment is a factor, but it's not the biggest factor, and it's not the only factor in decision making. It just isn't, and I don't care. And the right place has, again, maybe been taken on because we don't give enough importance or make enough noise about high taxes or anything else, but we think Michigan has improved its tax climate, but it's just one of many factors. I think the bigger factor right now, certainly, and has been as we've been hearing it for the last 10 years, has been workforce and the availability. Now, why I say it's a workforce crisis, because it just is. We don't have enough people to fill positions, especially in manufacturing. Tax policy, it's a touchy thing, but and again, some of my colleagues here and dealing, especially with site consultants, I think from around the country, will hear the same thing. I mean, the bigger concern a few years ago was just the damn system was just so complex and screwed up, and how you can't calculate what our tax liability is. Listen, at the end of the day, an informed citizenry and an informed business community knows we have to pay for infrastructure. We have to pay for good government. You got to pay for roads. you gotta pay for transit systems. That is critical. And you know what? I was in 3 meetings yesterday with public officials, and you know I get asked this, well, what can we do to help you with our regional economic development efforts? And I tell those elected officials, I said, that's pretty simple. I said, you hire us to do the work for this region, to retain, to attract, and to help businesses expand. Pay attention to your core competencies of running and operating good government. Good governance is really, really critical. That's tax policy as well, especially at the local level. Again, I don't think that businesses mind paying taxes if they feel like they're getting a fair shake and they're getting a fair return on investment. Take care of the roads, be efficient, continually lean, continually look at improvement. That's a quest that we all need to embark on. I don't, good times, should they ever come back? There's no room in anything we're doing for complacency on global competitiveness, including tax policy. It's a long answer, but
No,
get me on a soapbox and I can go forever.
I'm living on the edge here, but there's a great deal of research that backs that up. Actually, we have one of my esteemed colleagues, Igor Vojnovic, who is known by Dr. Corey over here, has looked at cities across he's looked at cities across the world, but looked at cities across the United States and looked at what was key in helping them to thrive and why people decided to live there and settle there. And so there were a number of things he looked at. But tax policy, he states that low taxes was not the reason people made a decision on where to live and where businesses decided where to locate. That it was definitely quality of life, basic needs like infrastructure, and workforce availability. So I think I actually have a link to his white paper where he talks about that, and I'll be sure and put it on IPPSR's website so that you can check it out. But it's not said loudly enough, clearly enough. So I appreciate your stepping out, Rick, and addressing that question with such passion.
I just wanted to add to what Rick said. The MBT was a significant deterrent to investment in our state. In a lot of different respects, but one that was, I think, was pretty critical and become important for us now under the new tax system is real estate. Real estate developers were basically picking up their toys and leaving the state in droves to invest their money and to do projects in other states. So part of our challenge is to bring them back and to get them to reinvest in Michigan again, and we have to tell our story about the new tax system. The other thing is, under the new system, I don't know the exact percentage, but we'll just say roughly 80% of the businesses out there are going to see a benefit from it. What I'm concerned about is the other 20%, the C Corps. And I can tell you that some of the executives that I've talked to about the new tax system, the C Corps, they're not very excited about it right now because and I think a lot of it is perception, not necessarily reality. But part of it is they feel like the tax burden, the business portion of the tax burden, is now falling 100% on their shoulders, as opposed to being spread amongst all businesses. That's not really reality, I think, but that's their perception of it right now. So that tells me that we have some work to do to convince them that this is a better deal for their companies in the long run. And then secondly, kind of along similar lines is, there were some tax credits that were eliminated under the MBT that do have a significant impact today under the new tax system by the virtue of the fact that they're gone. One of those is the research and development tax credit. There are some large companies that I've worked with that have significant R&D facilities in Michigan that were relying on that tax credit to generate millions of dollars of savings. Now it's gone. So they look at that as a negative, even though the overall tax rate is better, but they still, the perception is that that's a negative. So we do have some work to do, but I think overall Rick's right, and in the long run, we're going to be in good shape.